The concept of hell in Bleach is very underplayed, to the point where it's very clear that Kubo just kind of forgot about it. Despite the fact that the Soul Society is Bleach's proverbial heaven and Los Noches is its purgatory or limbo, we don't really see any of hell. Like, you'd assume in a series like Bleach, where the entire themes and concept of everything are based around life, death, and literal death gods, Shinigami, you'd assume hell would have a much larger place in the narrative, but it just doesn't. 10 out of 10 writing again, Kubo, like this. And like that. Do you remember that one, Kubo? That was great writing. And you remember that one as well? I mean, I can't argue with the 1,000 Year Blood War. That shit was like on a schedule. Andy was practically fucking dead, so fair enough. Like, genuinely, hell appears for the first time in chapter 12. Yeah, chapter 12 of Bleach. And you can tell it's early in Bleach because Ichigo's sword still has a fucking hilt. Okay, it's early on. It's like, I think episode 5. I'll put that on screen now. Basically, it's that one episode where Chad finds like the soul of a child trapped inside a bird and that child was murdered by a serial killer, and for some reason that serial killer's name as a hollow is Shrieker. Don't know why. And Shrieker decides to try and finish the job. Strangely brutal, but fair enough. And then Ichigo punches him, slashes him, blah, just fucking slices him, and then literally from that slash, the gates of hell open up. And just, it makes no sense. Okay, so Hollow gets slashed in half. The gates of hell open since he was a douchebag in life and in death. So, gates of hell open. There's two giant skeletons there. They slowly open. Shrieker's screaming in agony. Rukia and Ichigo are like, what the fuck? And then, hold on, let me pull up the fucking pictures. Yeah, those big ass doors with the big skeletons on. Like, Shrieker's mask gets caught, the gates of hell are opening. Well, no shit. And then you've got this big tribal tattooed armoured arm that comes out, stabs Shrieker, and pulls him in. Remember that arm? That arm's going to be... something similar's going to happen in the future. Only 670 odd chapters later, that'll happen again. Like, genuinely, the gap between everything canon about hell is about a 600 chapter gap, which is absurd, but anyway. So this arm pokes through, stabs Shrieker, and it's... Whenever I look at it, I genuinely just think of Mike Tyson because tribal tattoos have been ruined for me. But it stabs him, drags him in. We see a little face, yet again covered in tattoos, no pupils. I think in the coloured manga, I think the face is red, but the arm is just grey, like turles. Yeah, the eyeballs are. Yeah, the skin is red, the eyes are yellow, and the arm is just pale. That's fair enough. And then Shrieker gets dragged off to hell, and that's literally it. There are pretty much 3 realms that we know of in Bleach. The Living World, the Soul Society, and of course Los Noches. But despite that fact, there's a 4th one. Hell. And it's never brought up again for 660 odd, 70 or more chapters until we get the Breaths of Hell chapter. And that is it. That's all we get. And it kind of brings into question, Kubo, for real? Well, what can we tell from this, 8 pages? This is all we had to go on for hell until post Rancor arc, post all that, when Xyloporo and Aranero are dead and we get that one tie-in. I'll discuss that in a sec. But this is all we got about hell for years. This is all we got. Just a single arm and a door. That's it. This is where people go when they're dicks in the living world, or they're dicks when they're a hollow. I mean, it makes sense with Aranero because he's just an amalgamation of a bunch of hollows. But anyway, and then hell isn't mentioned for a good couple 100 chapters, and then the Hellverse movie comes out. I won't talk much about the movie itself right now. I'll save that till the end because we know for a fact that's not canon. Yes, in the past, Kubo has taken from non-canon things and put them into the canon manga, or the writer of the light novel, I forget his name, will take stuff from filler and make it canon. We had the design for Shunsui's Zanpakuto, that got made canon. We had Muramasa, this from the Zanpakuto retrieval arc, that's canon in the light novels, but only in name. Obviously, we don't get a picture of him with those long-ass fingernails, we don't see that. Stuff like that has been made canon in the past, but as of right now, we don't really know what from the Hellverse movie is canon, and what, if we ever get more from the Breaths of Hell chapter, we don't know how stuff will change from the Hellverse to the fucking, Breaths of Hell, if we ever do get any more of that. It's been over a year since the Breaths of Hell chapter. Think about that. It's been over a year. Remember how that chapter came out and everyone's hyped, oh my god, Bleach is back! And that was it. That's all we got. That was it. Just a single special for a year. It's hype as hell. Don't get me wrong. It made hollows scary for the first time in forever. but that's all we got. Anyway, I'll talk about that again later. So, since, as I keep saying, hell is this forgotten concept to Kubo, it'll just randomly get brought up, like, for, like, 400 chapters in, well, not 400, like 300 chapters in, like, from the Hellverse tie-in. Okay, here's the problem. So, before the Hellverse movie came out to, like, promote it, like, as some mangas and stuff will do, it came out with a promotional chapter that focuses around Xyloporo and Aranjero getting sent to hell. Okay, fair enough. That ties in with the Breaths of Hell, because Xyloporo was there in his cool little hell form. That makes sense. That ties in, so that Hellverse manga might be canon. I don't know, okay? So, in this Hellverse manga, let me pull that shit up too. We see, like, the main, well, not the main bad guy, but we see one of the bad guys from the movie. Is it Shurin, I think his name is, talking to Aranjero and Xyloporo and, like, not fighting them, but it's just, basically it's just Aranjero and Xyloporo talking, like, we're in hell. Yeah. And that's pretty much it. It's just, like, a little bit of fan service, and then Shurin shows up, and then that's it. We see them use their, like, resurrection. I got a D in Spanish. That's all we really get. The only things we get to see is Shurin, his 3 lackeys that I forget the names of, and one of the floors of hell, like the one that's surrounded by lava and stuff. Okay? That's it. That's all we get. This chapter itself is pretty bare bones in regards to what we see of hell. It's more of just like a little bit of fan service in regards to Xyloporo and Aranjero, and just like, you know, it's promotional material. You get to see the new characters. Who are these dudes? I wonder what they're going to do. Not much, really. I mean, we see, like, Xyloporo's resurrection again, and he does a Gran Recero, and then Shurin's like, whoa, Gran Recero. That's it. That's all we get. Yeah, again, like, hell is such a, like, a non-concept. Like, it's one of those things that showed up really early in Bleach, and is just completely forgotten. Like, as I said, this tie-in chapter, it's really cool, and it's really fan-servicey, but, like, there's nothing to sink your teeth into. The main, like, ironically, the main chunk of information we get from hell is from Bleach's latest, in quotations, chapter, right? Apparently there's, like, we might get the Breaths of Hell stuff animated, and that might, like, when the 1,000 Year Blood War anime ends, like, maybe the manga might continue, and then that will get animated and serialized at the same time or similar time. Maybe. I don't know. That's a long way in the tube, because the 1,000 Year Blood War anime is going to take forever to make, and that's very sad, but it looks very pretty, and I saw the As Not Seen with I Just Think of Rukia. That was cool. Anyway, hell. So, more canon stuff that we know about hell. Like, there isn't really much we know, but the last, like, the Breaths of Hell chapter gave us a bit of a lore dump, okay? And it kind of, I feel like this chapter was made to build up hype, like, because of Phosoplasm or whatever it is. Basically, before anything really happens in the chapter, we see these, like, new hollows that, like, they look scary. Remember when you first watched Bleach, and, like, hollows were these big, intimidating monsters? Like, they were the monster of the week, they were spooky. Like, Kingfisher is a weird hamster with a fucking Jason mask. He looks creepy, right? Look at this, look at him. He's spooky. Like, I don't know, I think Kingfisher just scared me, because he's got, like, that anglerfish thing that, like, wears the skin of your family members. Maybe that's what creeped me out. But anyway, we see these new hollows. They don't have spiritual pressure for some reason. That's why they don't get noticed. Like, imagine a silent kaiju. Like, that's what these hollows are. They're pretty much fodder, because we see, like, the new lieutenants just absolutely destroy them with their shikai. Like, Renji gets hit by one and he's fine. Like, the hollows themselves aren't really the threat. The threat comes from the homie. You guessed it. For some reason, this fucker is just always in hell. Xyloporo. And basically, the main brisk of knowledge that we get from this chapter comes more so from Shunsui, right? He talks about this thing called phosoplasm, and he says that basically when someone's so strong, like, their Ryatsu is that fucking thick that they can't get sent to hell. Well, they can't get sent to the Soul Society and, like, boom, pass on or whatever the fuck. They just go to hell, because too hench or some shit, right? Which is kind of depressing, because, like, okay, so you're a captain, right? You're strong as fuck. Maybe you're a lieutenant, you know? You're feeling yourself. You hot shit. You're Toshiro, you're Gin, you're fucking Tozen. Who else is a big one? Genryusai Yamamoto, fucking Sasakibe. Who else is dead? Since their Ryatsu was so thick and, like, just this weird black goop that, like, Shunsui puts on the edge of his sword, like, on the end of his Zanpakuto, like, they can't pass on because of it. There's the panel. Phosoplasm from hell. What's it doing here? Shut up. See, everyone else reacts and understands it, but Soifon's like, what the fuck? Of course, Soifon's the one that's confused. Fucking dumb bitch. Oh my god, look. Do you know what's funny? Like, the whole point of Phosoplasm is that there is a spirit class system. Yet again, another class system in Bleach that isn't the Rakungai or the, like, royal families. Like, bruh, like, the Soul Society is a fucked place to live. Like, that's the version of heaven you get. And it's fucked. Let's take a step back. Let's forget about this Phosoplasm bullshit, right? It's intriguing. Like, if you're so strong, your Ryatsu is that thick, or your Reishi is so thick, whatever, that you can't go to the Soul Society because it can't get absorbed, you can't pass on. Okay, fair enough, right? Let's forget about that. It's an intriguing concept. It builds hype, and that's why you've got a bunch of top 10 lists being like, oh my god, who's going to come back? It's probably going to be Gin. Probably going to be Jushiro. Obviously, Jushiro. Like, obviously. But what about the Stern Rare? Like, what about fucking... What if Pepe came back? Wait, did Pepe die? Fuck. Like, what if Asnot came back again? I don't fucking know. That shit's cool. And then it brings into question, what about the other Espada? Like Ukiura. Not my favourite Espada at all. I mean, Grimmjow for life. Like, how do you do it? Will this get reversed on camera? Yeah, Grimmjow for life. Is that a G? That'll do. Noitora sucks. Grimmjow's dope. Ukiura's whatever. Yami can fuck off. Aranyero's... I like Aranyero's design. I like Kai and Shiba. Yo, Kai and Shiba! He was lieutenant. He wasn't a captain, but he's above the third seed. Yo, what if Kai comes back? That's cool. No one thought about Kai and Shiba. That's sick. Anyway, basically what Xalaparo says at the end of the chapter is what I find most intriguing, right? Basically says that you just killed the beasts of hell in front of Jushiro Ukitake. And that's like, well, what does that insinuate? Well, since it's fucking Ukitake's sword that comes out and stabs Xalaparo and brings him the fuck back, it gives off the fucking impression that Ukitake is like the warden of hell now, which is kind of fucking cool. I mean, Xalaparo came out of hell, and he has the powers of... He has, like, the ability of his chains now. Like, the main villain from the Hellverse movie, was it Hokuto? Koito? I don't fucking remember his name. But it was cool. And I have him in Brave Souls. But, basically... Oh my god. We see Ichigo with, like, the battle pass. The Soul Reaper pass.
That shit look like the battle pass.
And then Xalaparo's getting all cocky, and he's like, well, why do you think they're called hell butterflies? Which is an intriguing thing because, you know, despite the fact that, as I've said earlier, hell is brought up, like, canonically for a fact twice, non-canonically 3 to 4 times, yet we never question the fact that hell butterflies have the word hell in their name. And I genuinely think that's great. I think that's fantastic. That Kubo was like, yo, you remember the fact that they're called hell butterflies? Well, remember hell? Like, he obviously didn't plan that. There's a lot of stuff in Bleach where it's, like, obvious that Kubo didn't plan for it. And he clearly didn't plan for this, but I think that's just a great, like... What's the word? What's the term? A great callback. I think that's a great callback, because as Bleach goes on, the hell butterflies get used less and less. They show up a little bit in Thousand Year Blood War. Not a fuck ton throughout, though. A lot at the beginning, a good chunk through the Soul Society, but then they kind of just get forgotten about a little bit. But I like that conceptually, the fact that he's like, yeah, they're called hell butterflies. Remember hell? That's cool. But besides those 3, like, manga thingy-majiggies that I just mentioned, that's all we know about hell. We don't know the inner workings of hell. We don't know what it's like. Unless you take the Hellverse movie as gospel, right? Okay, let's go on that concept. Like, from what we know from the manga, we just know that there's probably a warden or some sort of guard or some sort of monster that drags you into hell if you're being a big meanie, like Jushiro with Xalaparo and this big Mike Tyson hand with fucking Shrieker, right? Boom. All we get from, like, the inner workings of hell and each flaw is from the Hellverse movie. And all I can say about the Hellverse movie in its regard to its depiction of hell is that it's very standard. It's very much like the Divine Comedy, like Dante Alighieri style, where it's like each flaw is different, and it's like the deeper you go, the more of a bitch you were in life. Where we have, like, flaws that make sense. Like, same with the Divine Comedy, and same with the Hellverse's version of Bleach. We have flaws that make sense. Like, flaws filled with scorching lava and brimstone and just, like, lakes of like, boiling blood. Yeah, that makes sense for hell, right? That makes sense. But then you have flaws, like, in the Hellverse, where everywhere's just squares. And you have flaws in the Divine Comedy, where it's, like, minotaurs who shoot you in a grassy field. And it's like, that's, like, for, like, bad people. It's like, what? Anyway, yes, I know in the Divine Comedy it's not like the further down you go, the worse you are. It's like, there's more so for like specific crimes. Like, this is where stillborns go, this is where people who weren't baptized go, this is where murderers go, and this is where thieves go. I get it, but stick with me. If we go from the Hellverse movie, we have like the flaws with the aforementioned big squares. Like, it looks like a fucking PlayStation 5 reveal trailer. I don't get why that's so scary, but okay. Then we get like flaws of lava and brimstone and like all that stuff. That makes sense conceptually, you know. It looks like hell. And then throughout like a few of these flaws, we get like the wardens who are just like, they clearly like they have armored shoulders and like big heads, and they're supposed to like clearly resemble what showed up in chapter 12 and like episode 5, where like they drag Shrieker back in. They're clearly supposed to resemble that, but just like a new take on it, kind of. Like, they look like it, but not 100%. Still kind of cool, though. They look like hollows, but fucking P90X. But to be honest, I'm not going to lie, I prefer the Breaths of Hell versions of hollows. Like, look at this. Oh, friggin' unit. It doesn't even have a head. It's just it looks like an Evangelion fucking, looks like an angel, whatever. Like, it looks like if something from Eva. Like, that doesn't look like a hollow, and I love that. Get in the robot, Shinji. So, I've been rambling on. It's like past midnight right now, and my neighbours fucking hate me. So I'm going to quickly go over all about what we actually know. Okay, I'm going to be serious for a second, right? Look at me. We're going to be serious. I'm going to go over what we like know canonically held to be from both the original chapter 12, and the Breaths of Hell chapter. What do we know for sure? Well, there are two ways to get in hell that we know of. Be a violent, horrible person as a hollow, or when you're alive, or both. It depends. I think Rukia says that it's when people are cruel in life and then they become a hollow and then they just get sent to hell if they like get hit by a Shinigami, if they're just like a dick, right? Let me check. I've literally got the panels here. Yeah. Hollows who've committed terrible sins during life. So, if you're a dick during your lifetime and you then in turn become a hollow, it's hell for you. Or, as we see in the Breaths of Hell, as Shunsui says, when someone has a level 3, I think he says. Let me pull that up again just to be sure. A normal class member has 20th class Reishi. An assistant captain has 5th or 4th class. And those who are greater than 3rd class are captains. That means probably just captains, less so lieutenants, are in hell. But there's a problem with that because you have people who are captain level who are lieutenants and lower. For example, we have Ikaku who learned Bankai. That's like captain level, hands down. And then when we see Unohana travelling with Ichigo during like the Uranka arc, like during all the Espada stuff happening, she's like, oh my god, you're captain level. When he's like, just like his Bankai is like he's barely, like he's at like 50% power, like he's fucked, but he's still at captain level. So captain level in Bleach is like a very debatable term. It's clearly like a place you can get to, like relatively easily, but like each captain is a way above captain level, just in their own different ways. Like you have Soifon, who's above it in hacks, but Suzume Bachi also fucking sucks, and Raiho Jokobin or whatever it's called also sucks, but whatever. And then you have just like people who are way above captain level, like Yamamoto and Byakuya and Kenpachi. Like captains like that who are way above captain level, yet you also have captains like Tetsu Zaimon and Lisa, where I'm like, we don't know what they do, but I doubt it's anything good. Like we have captains like Tozen and Komamura, who are clearly captain level, but not much higher. Anyway, so all I'm saying is, it's probably unlikely, but chances are all captains get sent to hell. That's all we know. And chances are there's a couple who aren't captain but are captain level who also have been sent to hell. For example, if I just punched Shuhei with the power of Zeus and he died immediately, he'd probably get sent to hell because he has a Bankai and he's trained, and you know, the spirits of whoever, not spirits of whoever you can't feel your own wild stuff. Like he's above captain level. He has a Shikai, he has a Bankai. He's above captain level, he's dope. Like, if I killed Renji, dude's going to hell because he's above captain level and he has a fully evolved Bankai and a Shikai. And he's not a Kido master, but he's got cool shit. And then Shunsui goes on to say that there needs to be, like, a special ceremony called the, console Reishi? Console Reishi? Yeah, the console, let's call it that. You have to do the console so people can get, like, passed on if their Reishi is too dense. Or their Ryatsu is too dense. Like Ukitake, they probably had to do a ceremony on him, but they didn't because they didn't exactly have the time, because, you know, UR was fucking fucking up the Soul King, so they didn't really have much of a chance to do so. So Ukitake was just kind of... Ukitake sacrificed himself and it did nothing. Great. And as a result, I assume, since this has been brought up that, like, that Shunsui describes it as an old wives' tale, it's safe to assume that none of the captains that have died, or people who are captain level who have died, haven't been able to pass on. So, like, every captain who's dead. It doesn't say that they specifically had to die in a specific place, like if someone died in Wako Mundo, or the Living World, or the Soul Society, whether or not to be able to pass on. Like, for example, we had Yamamoto, who died in the Soul Society. He didn't get to pass on. His Ryatsu's too fucking thick, so he's probably going to get seen in hell, and he's mentioned by name by Xyloporo, so he's going to show up. But does Gin? Gin was captain level, had a Shikai, had a Bankai, he was partnered with Aizen, strong motherfucker, but he died in the Living World. But he died in Fake Character Town, but he's probably going to be in hell as well. And then Shunsui goes on to say, even if you do the fucking console, whatever it was called, it doesn't really matter. They're not going to be able to pass on anyway because they're too fucking thick with it. Like, they're just fucked. If you're an evil dude, you go to hell. If you're captain level or above and you just die in any way, you go to hell. Which is kind of fucked up. Yet again, as I said about Kai and Shiba and like lieutenants before, it is possible that some of them do show up in hell. Like, this stuff, this random leveling system brought up by Shunsui is very weird. Like he says, a standard, like, court guard, like, fodder is 20th level Ryatsu, and a captain is 3rd level Ryatsu. Yeah, as I said, captain level is a very stupid leveling system, but we'll see. Maybe we won't, because, I don't know, Kubo should have done what, like, Kubo should have did what fucking Miura did and got, like, an assistant to finish his shit, because, like, Kubo's struggling, man. Anyway, the main thing that annoys me about Hell, let's go back to the title of this video. The main thing that annoys me about Hell overall is that it was never acknowledged by enough characters who will and would have known about it. Yamamoto never mentions hell, except in the Hellverse movie where it's like, the chains of hell should never have been broken. Like, he says that. You are. Like, the Almighty, he wants to bring together the 3 main planes of existence. He wants to combine the Soul Society and Wako Mundo and the Living World together so there's no life and death. So they're all living in coexistence, and it's like, what? That's dumb. We don't want that, we gotta kill you, you are. Yet, despite the fact he brings up those planes of existence, he never brings up hell, which is very clearly part of this cycle. It's very clearly part of the cycle, because there's only so many places you can go when you die. There's only so many places that you can end up in Bleach. The Soul Society, Wako Mundo, and hell. Like, post-death, you can only really end up there. That's... So how the like, I don't get it. Like, it's very clear that Kubo forgot hell completely. Like, it's his biggest dropped plot point. Like, out of everything, that's the thing that annoys me the most. Now, there's a couple things that, like, annoy me. Like, I made a TikTok a couple of days ago about the fact that, like, how Ishin got injured and his family nearly died in the first chapter of Bleach when Rukia, like, gets fucked up by that fodder hollow and, like, all of Ichigo's family gets attacked. I thought about that and I was like, that's very dumb. I said as a meme, that doesn't look captain level, and everyone got pissed at me. Anyway, fuck it, I'll make another video about that. But yeah, that's all we really know about hell. Like, hollows, when they get slashed, it can open a door to hell, or hollows just appear, and then Xyloporo comes out of a fucking hole in the ground, and then the doors of hell open to get him back. And for some reason, Jushiro's, like, his Shikai is, like, fucking massive when it drags him back. I imagine that's just to suit the aesthetic of, like, when the first big hand dragged Shrieker into hell, because it was like a big fucking sword and a big hand that dragged him in. Like, I doubt when we see Jushiro, if we see him again in hell or from hell, he won't be like, he'll still be like weak. What if he's like Edo Tensei Itachi? Because he won't have his like sickness anymore. He won't have like that part of the Soul King trapped inside of him. So like, Ukitake Ukitake in hell would be dope, because he wouldn't have the illness. Like, he wouldn't be sick. That's cool. I just realised that's cool. Ukitake without the sickness. That's sick. Anyway. Oh yeah, Uno Hana's in hell as well. I mean, look at her. Of course she got sent to hell. What the fuck do you expect? Then there's probably the argument that people have made, like, all the old captains from the good old days are in hell as well. But anyway, I'll end the video now. How long have I been talking? I have been talking for half an hour. Thank you all for watching. This is my first time doing this video like this. Like, my camera's over here and not there, so you can tell this is like a new thing for me. If you enjoyed it, let me know. This is a lot more off the cuff. I just kind of had notes for this. Like, I talked for half an hour. There's no script. Like, I have like a paragraph of things I should talk about. I didn't really talk about Hellverse a lot, but there's not really much to say because it's. You can argue that maybe parts of it will become canon. You could argue that since the tie-in chapter was drawn by Kubo, that's canon. I don't agree since it's an immediate tie-in with Hellverse, and if you make that canon, you also make Shuren canon, and if Shuren's canon, then again, it just doesn't work. So, anyway, I think he's called Shuren. If he's not called Shuren, I said his name a lot, so probably I might botch that. But yeah, that being said, toodles my doodles, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Now, I'm motivated.